Sandy City employs an excellent workforce, but occasional performance problems are inevitable. Supervisors should address all problems as they arise and remain fair and consistent when dealing with disciplinary issues. The type of discipline given will depend on the specific reason for the discipline, the employee's past job performance, any prior discipline given, and how other employees have been treated in similar situations. We will go over some of the disciplinary actions a supervisor may choose to implement. The first is counseling. This is a short discussion with an employee designed to warn them that their job performance needs improvement and provide constructive feedback without further discipline. The supervisor should be honest and straightforward with the employee and set specific goals for improvement. A supervisor may not want to put a formal warning in the employee's file, but the details of the meeting should be written down and kept in the supervisor's records. Next is an informal warning. This is a verbal reprimand with a note retained by the supervisor documenting the discussion. After that is a formal warning. This is a strong warning against repetition and the consequences of repetition accompanied by a written notice. Disciplinary letters should be approved by the department head or a designated representative prior to being given to the employee, and copies of disciplinary letters should also be sent to Human Resources and placed in the employee's personnel file. You can find a template for a letter of warning in Appendix 29 of the Supervisor Guidebook. Supervisors can also use annual performance reviews as a form of discipline. Compensation increases may be contingent on ratings that come from these evaluations. Supervisors can use evaluations to discuss performance shortcomings and develop an improvement plan. The next disciplinary action is suspension. This is disciplinary time off without pay. All suspensions require approval from the department head or representative. It is also recommended to review the facts with Human Resources to ensure fair and consistent treatment prior to suspending an employee. Next is a demotion to a lower job grade or reduction in pay. This action must be approved by the CAO or department head. A demotion is usually considered in cases in which an employee is not performing well in a higher level position, but would likely be able to perform adequately in a different job. These actions are often appealed, so a supervisor should consult Human Resources or the city's attorney's office before action is taken. The last disciplinary action that we will discuss is discharge, or employee termination for reasons other than lack of work or completion of employment. This action may only be taken by the CAO or department head. No other supervisor should attempt to discharge an employee without approval from the CAO. Any discharge should be reviewed by Human Resources or the City Attorney's Office before action is taken. We will go over some steps in the disciplinary process. As soon as a problem is detected, even before taking disciplinary action, supervisors should involve Human Resources and the City Attorney's Office. After notifying Human Resources and the City Attorney's Office, the department head should designate a supervisor to conduct an investigation to determine the facts and make a formal written recommendation. Where termination is likely, the investigation is best conducted by someone other than the disciplining official. Investigation should be handled promptly, objectively, and as discreetly as possible to minimize injury to personal reputations. Potential witnesses should be interviewed and their statements written down. Employee records should also be reviewed before making a recommendation. Other possible evidence, such as emails, time cards, or financial records, may also need to be collected. Once the facts have been collected, the supervisor in charge of the investigation should write up a recommendation to the department head. Human Resources or the City Attorney's Office can assist with this. The recommendation should address all of the following. 1. Procedural history and facts of the case. 2. Mitigating circumstances, for example, if the employee has a good work record. 3. Aggravating circumstances, such as repeated offenses or an unwillingness to change. 4. Grounds for disciplinary action and the applicable policies that have been violated. And 5. Conclusions and recommendations. You can find a recommendation for disciplinary action memo in Appendix 30 of the Supervisor Guidebook. Once an investigation has been completed and a recommendation written, the department head and the employee will hold a predetermination hearing where they will discuss the supervisor's recommendation. The employee should be given the opportunity during this meeting to respond to the accusations and explain their side of the story. In the case of severe discipline, it is best to give the employee the recommendation before the predetermination hearing, so that they have time to review and prepare a response. In some cases, it is unlawful to terminate an employee without giving them a chance to explain their side of the story, so it is good practice to hold a predetermination hearing in every case. The last step in the disciplinary action process is the department head's final decision. The department head should consider the facts of the case and the employee side of the story when coming to a decision. When a final decision is reached, the employee should be notified in writing and informed of the right to appeal. If termination is an alternative, the department head may want to explain to the employee the option of resigning rather than being fired. Resignations can settle some disciplinary actions. However, there can be legal problems in this area. Supervisors should consult with Human Resources or the City Attorney's Office before settling a disciplinary problem in this fashion. While you should not document every mistake that an employee makes, good records are invaluable for more serious or recurring problems. Documentation should show the following elements. 1. The employee knew what performance was expected. 2. The employee failed to appropriately perform. 3. The employee was counseled, warned, and previously disciplined. 4. Performance problems were addressed in periodic evaluations. 5. Performance problems continued. 6. The employee was given a chance to respond to accusations of improper conduct. And 7. The final decision to discipline was reached. An important part of documenting discipline is talking to the employee about the problem and taking notes about what you discussed and what expectations were established. Rather than wait until you have a long list of issues to discuss with an employee, it is best to talk to them as soon as you notice a problem, giving them an opportunity to quickly correct their behavior. You can find a sample worksheet for documenting employee behavior in Appendix 31 of the Supervisor Guidebook, or you can use express evaluations to take notes about employees' performance.